I had never felt a night as heavy as that one. Everything was supposed to be perfect. Our engagement party had ended just hours ago, laughter and champagne still echoing in my mind. Isabella, my fiancée, had smiled at me with that familiar warmth, whispering that I was the love of her life. I believed her. I had believed in her completely. But when I opened the door to our apartment that evening, the world shifted. "Izzy?" I called softly, dropping my coat by the rack. "You home?" Her voice came from the bedroom. "Yeah, just a minute," she said, a strange hesitation in her tone. My heart sank before I even saw her. I pushed open the bedroom door and froze. There they were. Ryan, my fiancé's ex. Why, what are you doing here? I stammered, my voice shaking. My fists clenched at my sides, nails digging into my palms. Isabella looked at me, unflinching, calm, indifferent. "Oh, hey, I didn't expect you home so early." "You didn't expect me home so early?" I repeated, disbelieving. "Is that really the excuse? That you're—" I stopped myself, choking on the word cheating. Ryan stepped back, but the smirk on his face told me everything I needed to know. "Hey man, it's complicated," he said, with that infuriating charm that used to win people over. "We didn't mean for you to find out like this." "Not mean to find out?" My voice rose, cracking with raw hurt. "Isabella, look at me. Look at me and tell me you weren't planning this. Tell me that it's not true." Isabella sighed, and I swear the sound pierced my chest like a knife. "I'm sorry, but I can't lie to you. Things changed." "Changed?" I whispered, disbelief mixing with anger. "Changed? So what, all those plans, all those promises were just words to you?" Ryan stepped closer as if to explain, but I shook my head violently. "No, stay away from me. Just stay away." She looked at me with that same cold rationality I had never seen before. "You're overreacting. I'm allowed to make choices for my happiness." My chest tightened. "Choices? Is that what you call breaking my trust? Betraying everything we had?" She shrugged, indifferent. "We both deserve to be happy. You'll understand someday. Understand?" "I will never understand this." My voice was hoarse. "You loved him all along. You wanted him. And all this time I thought—" I swallowed hard, choking on tears. "I thought you loved me." Her face remained unreadable, untouched by guilt. "Love isn't always enough, you know. People change, circumstances change. You'll get over it," I laughed bitterly, a sound that echoed off the walls of the apartment. "Get over it? Get over my entire life being shattered in one night." "You'll survive," she said softly, almost patronizingly. "You always do." I couldn't breathe. I felt dizzy, nauseous, my mind spinning. Every memory, every shared smile, every whispered promise flashed through my mind like cruel highlights of a life I no longer recognized. "Isabella, how could you?" I whispered, finally letting the tears fall. "I trusted you. I gave you everything. And you—" My voice broke. "You just threw it all away for him?" Ryan leaned against the wall, pretending to be apologetic. "I didn't mean for this to happen, okay? It just did." "Did? That's your excuse?" My anger burned hotter than my grief. "You don't get to use excuses. You both—" I cut myself off, realizing the words were meaningless against the cold reality. Isabella turned away, clearly done with the confrontation. "I can't change what's happened. You'll have to accept it." "Accept it?" I whispered to no one in particular, sinking into a chair. "How do you expect me to accept this?" There was a silence, heavy and suffocating. Ryan gave a half smile, half shrug, like he had already won some invisible victory. "You know," I said finally, my voice steadier but colder. "I thought I knew you, Isabella. I thought I knew what we had. But you're not the person I believed you were." She didn't reply. She just turned her back completely, leaving me staring at the floor. My fists were still clenched, my body trembling. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. I had no sense of time. Friends called, asking how I was, but I couldn't speak. Words would betray the storm raging in me. I remembered the first night I met her. Isabella, radiant, confident, laughing at a joke I barely remembered. I had felt a spark then, a certainty that this was someone I could trust, love, and build a life with. How foolish I had been. I thought of Ryan, charming, always with that easy smile, the way he had always seemed to linger on the edges of her life. And now, here he was, reclaiming her, and I was left with the ruins of my trust. My phone buzzed. A message from a friend. "You okay?" "Heard about Isabella." Call me if you need to talk. I stared at it, the words blurred by tears. Talk? What could anyone say? How do you explain betrayal like this? How do you explain that the person you planned a future with chose someone else in a single moment of selfishness? I remembered the words she had said. You'll survive. You always do. The thought stung. Survival. That's all it came down to, wasn't it? Survival. I couldn't stay broken forever. I couldn't let her actions define me. I got up from the chair, hands still shaking. No, I whispered. I won't let this destroy me. I won't let them win. I opened the window, letting the cool night air hit my face. The city stretched below me, indifferent and endless. A reminder that life continued despite betrayal. I clenched my fists, swallowing the lump in my throat. Fine, I said aloud, to the empty apartment. Do what you want, be happy. But don't think for a second that I won't rise from this. There was a knock at the door. I ignored it. I didn't need anyone tonight. Not comfort. Not sympathy. I had only one companion in that moment. The cold, burning resolve taking root inside me. Isabella, I whispered, my voice firm, almost eerily calm. You just made me stronger. You just lit the fire I didn't know I had. I sank into the darkness, staring at the ceiling, plotting silently. This was only the beginning. They thought they had broken me. They had only awakened something far more dangerous. I would survive. I would rise. And someday they would see just how far I had come. Even if it took everything, I would reclaim everything they stole from me. And it would start tonight. I didn't answer the phone. I didn't answer messages. I didn't even leave my apartment except when hunger forced me to. And even then, I barely noticed the world outside. Work emails piled up unread. Friends' texts flashed on my phone, each one a reminder of how disconnected I had become. Are you okay? A voice called through the door one evening. I recognized it as James, my closest friend. I didn't answer. Come on, man, let me in. You're scaring me. I finally opened the door, my eyes red, my hair disheveled. He stepped in immediately, concern written across his face. What the hell happened? He asked, looking around at the messy apartment, wine bottles still sitting untouched on the counter. I lost control, I muttered, barely looking at him. James shook his head. Is this about Isabella? I laughed bitterly, a dry, hollow sound. You think you know, but you can't know. She betrayed me, James. My fiancée, the woman I trusted with my life, she chose him. Ryan, my own fiancé, chose him. He frowned, trying to find the right words. I'm sorry, man. But you need to eat something. Sit down, talk to me. Oh, talk? I snapped, then immediately felt guilty for yelling. What's there to say? Every word I've said, every plan we made, meaningless, gone, all of it. James sat down across from me. Listen, maybe this is a wake-up call. I know it hurts, but you're stronger than this. Stronger? I whispered, shaking my head. I don't feel strong. I feel hollow. I feel empty. I feel like a fool. Like I wasted years on someone who didn't even care about me. James put his hand on mine. It's not wasted if you learned something. You learned who she really is. You learned how to survive betrayal. Survive? I spat the word. Survive? Do you know what it feels like to come home and see them together? To see the person you trusted, the person you loved, smiling for someone else?
Do you know that?
James's eyes softened. I can't know exactly, but I'm here. And we'll get through this. I pulled my hand away. No, you don't get it. You can't get it. Nobody can. It's every waking moment, every memory flashing back, every gift she gave me, every letter, every plan we had. It's all poison now. All of it. He frowned, confused and frustrated. Then why are you letting it consume you? You're still here. You're alive. You have friends. You have family. You have options. Options. I repeated, my voice trembling. I have nothing. My life was supposed to be perfect. I had her. I had security. And now? Now I have nothing. Every friend, every colleague. Everyone sees me as the broken man I've become. I can't even show my face at work without feeling the weight of humiliation. She laughed, James. She laughed when she saw my career crumble, my pride shattered. James's mouth tightened. I didn't know it was that bad, that she did that to you. She did, I said, my voice cold now, almost detached. And Ryan, that smug little bastard, I can't even look at him without feeling this fire, this rage I don't know how to control. He took what was mine and walked away smiling. James leaned back, rubbing his temples. I'm telling you, you can't let this define you. You can't let them win. They already won, I muttered. They already destroyed me. And yet I'm still here. I'm still breathing. I suppose that's ironic. James's voice softened. It's not ironic. It's a second chance. You've survived the worst they could throw at you? That's proof you can take control again. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of despair pressing down. Control, that's the problem. I had control. I had her, my plans, everything. And she took it. They took it. And now, what am I supposed to do? How do I get it back? James looked at me carefully. You start small. One step at a time. Right now, that might just be standing up. Showing up. Talking to someone who cares. And then you rebuild. I shook my head, the bitter laughter escaping my lips. Rebuild? Rebuild from what? From ashes and betrayal? Every place we went, every memory we made, it's contaminated. Every reminder of her is a knife in my chest. I can't rebuild from that. He leaned forward, voice firm. Then build something new. Something that isn't tied to her. Something that's yours, I swallowed hard. The thought hit me like a wave. New. Mine. Separate from her, separate from the past. Could I? Could I really do that? I don't even know where to start, I admitted, my voice quiet, almost fragile. James nodded. Start with yourself. Eat, sleep, work, focus. Don't think about revenge yet, don't think about her. Just start living again. The rest will come naturally. I shook my head again. It's not that simple. Every message, every photo, every gift from her, they're like reminders tattooed into my mind. I can't escape them. Even her laugh, it's inside my head. Even her face smiling at him, it haunts me. James's voice softened. Then use it. Let it remind you of why you can't stay like this. Let it fuel you. Let it push you to reclaim your life. I stared at him, feeling the sting of tears, but also the faintest flicker of clarity. Maybe he was right. Maybe I couldn't remain a victim. Maybe this pain, this betrayal, was the beginning of something else, something I hadn't yet imagined. I can't forget, I whispered. I can't pretend it didn't happen. How can I move forward when every thought is poisoned? You don't forget, James said. You remember and you learn. You let it teach you who you are and who you don't want to be with. And then you make your move. In your own time, in your own way. I let out a shaky breath. The anger, the grief, the despair, they all mingled into a strange clarity. Maybe I didn't need to forget. Maybe I needed to see the truth fully, let it burn inside me, and then rise from the ashes. I don't know if I can do it, I admitted, the weight of my despair pressing down again. It's like a part of me is broken, irreparable. James shook his head firmly. No part of you is irreparable. You're stronger than you think. All of this, it's just the first chapter. You'll see. I swallowed, my throat tight. First chapter, I muttered, almost to myself. I suppose every story has a beginning, no matter how dark, he smiled faintly. Exactly. And your story, it's far from over. I looked out the window, the city lights flickering in the distance, and for the first time that night, I felt a spark that maybe, just maybe, I could reclaim my life. That maybe I could stop being a victim and start being the man I was meant to be. I have to figure it out, I whispered to the night, voice firmer now. I can't stay in this darkness forever. I won't. James stood, placing a hand on my shoulder. Good, that's the first step. And I'll be here, every step of the way. I nodded, letting the tension in my body ease just a fraction. It was going to be a long road. Painful, exhausting, terrifying. But I could feel it. Somewhere deep inside, the first stirrings of resolve. I couldn't change the past. I couldn't erase her betrayal, or Ryan's smugness, or the humiliation I felt. But I could shape what came next. And I would one day, they would see. They would see the man they thought they had broken, stronger, smarter, and untouchable. But first, I had to survive the night. I woke up in my apartment, sunlight spilling across the floor, and for a moment, I thought it was just another miserable morning. But something was different. My mind felt sharper, clearer, like a fog had lifted overnight. Every memory, every crushing moment from the past months, the betrayal, Isabella, Ryan, they were all there, vivid, undeniable. But instead of feeling broken, I felt alert, focused. I muttered under my breath, "This can't be real. It can't be." Then I realized it didn't matter if it was real or not. What mattered was that I remembered everything, knew what was coming. And for the first time, I had a chance to act before the knife ever hit. My phone buzzed, breaking the silence. It was James again. You up? His text read. I typed back quickly, Yes, meet me at the cafe. I need to talk. An hour later, I found him sitting across from me, coffee in hand, looking cautious. You sound different, he said. I am different, I said, stirring my coffee slowly. I woke up. I can see everything now. What's going to happen, who will betray me, everything. And I don't plan to let it. James blinked. Wait, are you saying you know what Isabella and Ryan are planning? I nodded. I know exactly how it will unfold. I know the lies, the manipulations, the moments that will break me. But this time, I'm not waiting to be the victim. He frowned. That's a lot. Are you sure this isn't just a dream? I finished for him, voice firm. I don't care. Even if it is, the knowledge is mine. And I'm going to use it. James leaned back. Okay, so what now? How do you even start? I start by observing, I said. Not reacting, not getting emotional. I watch, I wait, I learn. Every conversation, every message, every look. They all tell me who can be trusted, who can't. I rebuild slowly, strategically. Not like before. No rash moves, no blind trust. He nodded slowly. I like it. But what about her? Isabella? She's unaware, I said. And that's perfect. I'll see the cracks in her plans before she even acts. And I'll use them. Every little sign, every hesitation, it'll all be mine to exploit when the time comes. James sipped his coffee. And Ryan? Ryan's charm is his weapon, I said, my voice tight. But I've seen the arrogance that hides behind it. I know the moments when he slips. I know how to manipulate him without him realizing it. This is a game now, and I intend to win. He studied me, his expression a mix of awe and concern. You really sound different, stronger. I smiled faintly, though it didn't reach my eyes. I have to be. I can't afford to be weak again. Not with what I know. This second chance? It's everything. I don't plan to waste it. Over the next few days, I became hyper-aware of everything. Work emails, casual conversations, even the slightest social cues. I noticed who avoided my gaze, who lingered just a moment too long. Friends and colleagues who I'd dismissed as harmless suddenly became data points, pieces of a larger puzzle. One afternoon at the office, I saw Isabella across the room, talking to a colleague. She smiled at him, charming, unaware that I was analyzing every inflection, every flicker in her eyes. I noted her patterns, her manipulations, the tiny pauses before she lied. I whispered under my breath, I see you. I see it all this time. James met me later outside the building. You're changed. You walk differently, talk differently. What are you doing to yourself? I shrugged. Discipline, observation, planning. I'm reclaiming myself before they can take anything else from me. He shook his head. You've gone from broken to calculating. I just hope it doesn't consume you. Maybe it will, I said, my eyes hard. But at least this time I control it. I decide the moves, not them. Not fate, me. At home, I went through old messages and emails, revisiting every slight, every moment that had hurt me. I cataloged them mentally, not in anger, but as evidence. Patterns emerged. I realized Isabella had a rhythm in her manipulations, predictable behaviors that left her vulnerable if approached correctly. Ryan's arrogance, the way he underestimated me, became a tool. Each day I mapped their weaknesses and my strengths, planning small, deliberate moves that would protect me and build leverage. I called James one night. I need you to trust me, I said. He paused. You're scaring me a little, but okay. What do you need? Just observe, I said. Don't interfere. Watch how people move, how they talk, what they don't say. Report to me without judgment. Everything becomes data, everything becomes strategy. Got it, he said reluctantly. The days turned into weeks. I became a master of patience, controlling impulses that before would have ruined me. When Isabella tried to draw me into emotional traps, I remained detached, noting every word and reaction. When Ryan boasted or maneuvered, I responded with calm, subtle measures that undermined him without alerting him. One evening, I met with my mentor, Mr. Klein, someone I'd trusted for years but had overlooked before. You've changed, he said, looking at me across the table. There's focus in your eyes I've never seen. I've had a wake-up call, I said. I know what's coming. I won't make the same mistakes. He nodded. Good. But remember, strategy isn't just planning. It's restraint. Don't rush the moment of action. Let them reveal themselves. Let them dig their own holes. That's the plan, I said. Observe, wait, learn, and strike when the time is perfect. Not out of anger, but with precision. He leaned back, satisfied. then you've truly learned. Don't let emotion cloud judgment. You have the tools now. Use them wisely. I left the meeting with a sense of clarity I hadn't felt in months. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming my life. Each step I took, each decision I made, was a brick in the foundation of my new self. One who wouldn't crumble, who wouldn't be manipulated, who wouldn't be defined by betrayal. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, reviewing my mental notes. Every conversation I would have, every reaction I might provoke in Isabella and Ryan, I visualized. I rehearsed calm, precision, and timing. I allowed myself a small, satisfied smile. Everything they think they control, I whispered to the empty room, is already in my hands. I just need to wait. The phone buzzed, another text from James checking in. I stared at it, smiled faintly, and typed back, I'm ready. Watch and learn. I leaned back, the city lights glittering through my window. For the first time in months, I felt powerful, aware, and alive. I wasn't the man who had been broken, humiliated, and betrayed. That man was gone. This was a new beginning, calculated, patient, strategic, and I would make sure that when the moment came, I stood not as a victim, but as someone who commanded every move in this game. For the first time, I didn't dread the future. I welcomed it, because this time I was ready. I walked into the office that morning, coffee in hand, and for the first time in months, I felt a sense of clarity. The weight of betrayal still lingered, but it didn't crush me anymore. Instead, it sharpened me. I had a plan now, patience and foresight, and today I intended to put the first pieces of it into motion. Hey, you okay? James asked as I passed his desk. I gave him a faint smile. Better than okay, focused, he raised an eyebrow. You've got that look again, the one where you're plotting something. Not plotting, I said smoothly, sliding into my seat. Observing, learning, anticipating. James chuckled. Whatever helps you sleep at night. I ignored him, opening my laptop. Emails poured in, trivial office chatter, yet every message was an opportunity to gauge moods, tensions, and allegiances. I scanned the threads, noting subtle cues. Who replied quickly, who hesitated, who avoided certain topics. Then I saw her, Isabella, entering the lobby with a bright smile, like nothing had ever happened. She waved at me and I nodded lightly, keeping my face neutral. Later, she approached me in the break room. Hey, can we talk? Her voice was soft, coaxing, familiar. I looked up slowly. Talk about what? Just us. I want to understand. I didn't mean for things to go the way they did. I leaned back against the counter, studying her. Every movement, every tone, every hesitation, I cataloged it. Is that so? Funny, because from where I stand, it looks deliberate. She faltered, blinked, but quickly masked it. I just got confused. You know how feelings are. I didn't want to hurt you. I smiled faintly, not with warmth. Feelings, hurt? That's one interpretation. The other is choice. You made yours. I made mine. Observing your desperation doesn't change my plans. She hesitated, searching my eyes, perhaps looking for a crack. There wasn't one. So you're really over it? I'm beyond it, I said. I'm focused. And you're irrelevant to what comes next. Her lips pressed together and she walked away, clearly unsettled. I watched her go, noting how her steps faltered slightly, her usual confidence slipping. First small victory. Later, I met Ryan near the elevators. He was laughing with a colleague, charming, cocky, the same man who had caused so much chaos. He noticed me and waved. Hey, he said, still brooding over the past? I smiled faintly. Not brooding, learning, observing, you should try it sometime, he laughed. Oh, I see. You're playing some little game now? Trying to get ahead? Not a game, I said. Strategy, discipline. You might want to pay attention, you'll need it. He scoffed, but there was a flicker in his eyes. Subtle, almost imperceptible. That flicker told me more than his words ever could. Arrogance, yes, but also insecurity. And insecurity is exploitable. The day unfolded with careful observation. I noticed minor discrepancies. Ryan taking credit for minor projects, colleagues bending slightly to his influence, Isabella inserting herself in conversations unnecessarily. I made mental notes, marking vulnerabilities and opportunities. During lunch, James joined me at our usual table. You're different, he said, shaking his head. I don't know how you survived this. You're calm, collected. Even watching her doesn't seem to faze you. I stirred my salad slowly. It's not about calm. It's about patience. I've learned to wait, to watch, to understand before acting. You can't fight shadows without knowing their shape. James leaned back. I hope this isn't making you cold. Cold is necessary, I said. Vulnerable gets you betrayed. We fell silent, but I could see his admiration and concern. He understood that I was changing, evolving. I was no longer just a man hurt by betrayal. I was a man who could anticipate, plan, and act. Back at my desk, I started drafting a subtle strategy. Small moves, minor corrections, influencing outcomes without anyone noticing. Emails worded to highlight my competence, meetings scheduled to maximize visibility, opportunities created for allies and weaknesses exposed for adversaries. Every step carefully measured. Later in the afternoon, Isabella's voice came from behind my cubicle. Can we talk again? I didn't turn immediately. I allowed the pause to speak first. About what? Just I want to make things right. I care. I finally faced her, neutral expression, analyzing. Care isn't enough. Awareness, integrity, and consequences. That's what matters now. You had your chance, and you squandered it. Her lips pressed tight. She tried again. I can change. Stop, I said firmly. No more words. Observing you now only proves what I already know. You're incapable of sincerity, incapable of consistency. Your relevance is over. She looked taken aback, a blush creeping over her cheeks. I watched her retreat, seeing her composure crack just slightly. Another small victory. Later, Ryan approached me again, this time more cautiously. You're different. I don't know what's gotten into you. Observation, patience, foresight, I said. You might want to consider those yourself. He frowned, sensing the shift in dynamics but unsure how to counter it. So what, you're playing chess now? I smirked. More like anticipation. Every move you make is already visible to me, and every weakness you think is hidden is a tool in my hands. By evening, I reviewed the day. I had subtly influenced outcomes. Colleagues noticed my reliability. Small cracks in Ryan's reputation were already forming, and Isabella's attempts at manipulation were visibly faltering. Karma, subtle but undeniable, was beginning to unfold. I called James on my way home. Everything is going as planned, I said. He chuckled. Planned, you're scaring me a little. You've become precise, cold almost. Not cold, I said. Calculated, focused. Every interaction, every observation, every action has a purpose now. Emotion doesn't drive me, it informs me. And Isabella? He asked, ignored. Let her try, let her fail. She's irrelevant. Ryan, also faltering. Their moves are predictable, their weaknesses visible. I just need patience, timing, precision. At home, I reviewed the mental notes I had been compiling for weeks. Conversations, subtle cues, email threads, meetings, body language. Every piece of information became a data point, every small observation a potential leverage point. I leaned back, the city lights casting patterns across my apartment. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt power. Real, tangible. Not the desperate, reactive power of anger, but the quiet, deliberate authority of someone who could shape outcomes without anyone noticing. I whispered to myself, they think they control the game. They don't even see who's truly playing. The phone buzzed. It was James. Ready for tomorrow? I smiled faintly. Always. I knew the next days would be critical. Minor manipulations, small exposures, testing loyalty, gauging reactions. But I was ready, observant, patient, stratégique. And slowly, I would rebuild not just my reputation, but my life, my influence, and my dignity. Tonight, I allowed myself a small, private smile. For the first time in months, I wasn't haunted by betrayal. I wasn't reacting. I was orchestrating. And it felt powerful. Tomorrow, the ladder climbed a little higher, and I would be standing at the top, watching carefully, controlling everything beneath me. No one would betray me again without consequence. Not Isabella, not Ryan, not anyone. I was no longer the man who fell. I was the man who rises. The morning air felt sharper than usual as I walked into the office. There was tension, subtle but tangible, the kind that comes before a storm. I knew today would be decisive. Isabella and Ryan were making their final moves, desperate and reckless. I had spent weeks observing, planning, preparing. Today, all of it would culminate. Hey, James said as I passed his desk, voice low. You ready for the fireworks? I smirked faintly. Fireworks? More like exposure. But yes, I'm ready, he chuckled. Good. I just hope you don't enjoy watching them burn too much. Watching is part of the plan, I said, keeping my tone casual. Control is the goal, not revenge, though consequences will be inevitable. Across the room, I noticed Isabella hovering near the coffee machine, her posture stiff, eyes darting like a trapped animal. She caught my gaze and forced a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. She knew I was watching, and that knowledge unsettled her. Later, she approached my desk. Can we talk? Her voice was tentative, almost pleading. I looked up slowly, my expression neutral. About what? About everything. I know I hurt you. I just want to make things right. I leaned back slightly, observing every micro-expression, every hesitation. Make things right? You walked away, chose him. You don't get to make anything right now. Your words are meaningless unless backed by action, and actions you've already chosen them. She swallowed hard, searching my eyes. So when you hate me? I don't hate, I said calmly. Hate is weakness. I feel clarity now. You're irrelevant. Your influence over me is gone. You'll find that hard to accept. Her lips pressed together. She tried another approach. But we shared so much. Doesn't that count for something? Count, I said, letting the word linger. Count for you, maybe. For me, it counts as evidence. Evidence of your choices, your deceit, your selfishness, and evidence that I cannot rely on you or anyone who follows your lead. She faltered, clearly frustrated by my composure. You're different. Precisely, I said. I'm not the man who crumbled under betrayal. That version of me is gone. I've learned, adapted, and I anticipate. Every move you make, every word you speak, I see it coming, and it no longer affects me. She hesitated, then turned away, unable to maintain her usual control. Small victory number 1. Minutes later, Ryan entered the conference room, clipboard in hand, trying to look casual. He approached me with a cocky grin. So plotting something again? I looked him in the eye. Planning. Observation, strategy, patience. You should consider applying them yourself. It might save you from the inevitable. He laughed nervously. I don't know what you're talking about. I've always been 2 steps ahead. 2 steps ahead? Perhaps in arrogance, I said, voice steady. But foresight is different. You act without knowledge, while I see the outcomes before they occur. That difference is critical. He shifted uneasily, his bravado faltering slightly. It was subtle, but it told me everything I needed to know. Vulnerability beneath the mask of confidence. Isabella appeared in the doorway again, trailing behind him, forcing a smile. We just want to talk, she said, voice trembling slightly. Talk is over, I said firmly. Observation, judgment, consequence. That is the language we now speak. And your consequence is visibility. The truth will be seen. I stood, letting the room feel my presence fully. Colleagues, friends, anyone watching, listen carefully. Lies have a weight. Deception leaves a trail, and those who choose betrayal eventually face exposure. Today is a demonstration of that principle. I walked toward the conference table, every step deliberate. Isabella, your attempts to manipulate, guilt, or sway opinions are futile. Ryan, your schemes, subtle or otherwise, are visible. Every whisper, every calculated move, gone unnoticed no longer. The room was silent. Eyes widened. Conversations paused. I let the tension stretch, letting them feel the full weight of inevitability. I trusted you, I continued, voice steady but calm. I valued honesty, loyalty, partnership, and in return you chose selfishness, opportunism, and deception. That is not just a betrayal of me, but of everyone who believed in integrity. Isabella's face paled. Ryan's jaw tightened. I could feel the shift, subtle but definitive. Today, I said, letting my voice resonate, you see the consequences. Not from anger, not from vengeance, but from foresight and accountability. Every move you made to control, manipulate, or deceive, exposed. I gestured to James and other colleagues, quietly observing. They saw everything. They understand the truth. And so do you. Actions have outcomes and your choices have caught up. Isabella stumbled backwards slightly. You can't, this isn't fair. Fairness, I said, letting a faint smirk appear, was never your concern. Only outcome. Only appearance. That is why you are powerless. That is why you are visible and everyone sees the truth. Ryan tried to interject, but I silenced him with a raised hand. No words. Observation is sufficient. Your deeds speak louder than any excuses. I moved toward the window, looking out at the city, letting them feel my distance and control. I am not cruel. I am precise. I am disciplined. And I am no longer a victim. I act with knowledge, foresight, and purpose. And that purpose includes ensuring that deception cannot persist unchallenged. The room was heavy with tension. Isabella's shoulders slumped. Ryan's confident posture faltered. I had stripped them of their armor. Turning back, I looked at James and a few other allies who had silently supported me. I nodded. They understood the significance. Witnesses validate power. Observation confirms strategy. Together, it reinforced the shift. Isabella's voice was small. You've changed. I had to, I said. The version of me that fell is gone. What remains is awareness, control, and deliberate action. And you're irrelevant. That is the truth you cannot escape, Ryan muttered, almost under his breath. You've become unapproachable. Not unapproachable, I corrected. Unmanipulable, clear-eyed, deliberate. Every action has consequences. Every choice is accounted for. And today, both of you have learned that the world sees beyond your schemes. I returned to my desk, letting the finality of my words settle. Isabella and Ryan lingered, uncertain, powerless. Their attempts to regain control had been neutralized without force, without shouting, without spectacle. Observing them was sufficient. Their defeat was complete, subtle but irreversible. Later, James approached quietly. That was impressive. They're completely exposed. And you didn't even have to yell, I smiled faintly. Yelling is for chaos. Strategy works quietly, systematically. Let them see themselves, they'll do the rest. He nodded. So what now? Now, I said, leaning back. We continue building, consolidating, strengthening influence, solidifying relationships. Karma has begun, but the real work is ahead. Observation, patience, precise execution. And the past? It informs, but does not dictate. I control what comes next. The day ended with a sense of calm I hadn't felt in months. My emails were sent, meetings scheduled, opportunities identified and secured. Minor adjustments were made to colleague perceptions, subtle leverage created over those who might challenge me. Every move reinforced authority and clarity. At home, I reflected on the events. Isabella's attempts at manipulation, Ryan's schemes, their combined influence, all collapsed without drama. Exposure was a silent but powerful force, and I realized as I sipped my evening coffee that true empowerment comes not from reaction, but from foresight, patience, and deliberate action, I whispered to myself. They thought they could control the outcome. They were blind, and now they are visible to the world as they truly are. The window framed the city lights like stars, each flicker a reminder that I had taken control. No one could undermine me again. Not Isabella, not Ryan, not anyone who believed themselves untouchable. And as the night stretched on, I allowed myself a small, private satisfaction. The reckoning had occurred. The balance had shifted, and I was firmly in command of what would come next. The world would see me rise, not stumble. They would see control, discipline, and foresight in motion. And those who had once thought me powerless would understand, finally, that true power is quiet, deliberate, and unstoppable. I stepped into the boardroom feeling the calm weight of control settle over me. Weeks of strategy, patience, and precise moves had led to this moment. Today wasn't about revenge. It was about finality. Isabella and Ryan had exhausted their plays. I had outlasted them. James caught my eye as I sat down. "You're sure about this?" he murmured. "I'm not here to be sure," I replied softly. "I'm here to conclude." He nodded, lips pressed together. "Then this is it." The door opened. Isabella walked in first, cautious but defiant. Ryan followed, his usual smirk replaced with tightness around his jaw. They sat opposite me, like contestants unaware the game had already ended. I leaned forward. "Let's not waste time. Whatever schemes you've been clinging to, today they end." Isabella attempted a shaky smile. "We're not here to fight. We're here to talk." "Talk?" I echoed. "Talk is for people with leverage. You have none." Ryan shifted, trying to sound confident. "You're bluffing. We still have influence." I cut him off. "Influence built on lies collapses under truth. And the truth is out," he frowned. "What truth?" "The truth you both hoped would stay hidden," I said evenly. "Emails, contracts, whispers to colleagues, every move you made to undercut me, every attempt to manipulate, documented and exposed." Isabella's voice cracked. You're exaggerating. I'm precise, I replied. I don't exaggerate. I observe, I record, I plan. Silence hung heavy. Their confidence flickered like dying candles. I straightened in my chair. You came here expecting the old me, the man who doubted himself, who crumbled under betrayal. That man is gone. What sits here now is foresight and control. Isabella looked down at her hands. We just wanted a chance. You had chances, I said. You burned them. This isn't punishment. This is consequence, Ryan tried again. You're making this personal. It became personal the day you both decided my trust was disposable, I said, voice firm but calm. Now it's professional, strategic, and final. James cleared his throat softly. They know about the vote? I gave a small nod. They will, Isabella's head shot up. Vote? Yes, I said. The board vote transferring operational control into my hands. The position you undermined me for, Ryan, the one you whispered your way toward, was secured this morning. You lost. Ryan blinked, color draining from his face. That's impossible. Possible, I corrected. Calculated. I knew your moves before you made them, Isabella whispered. You planned this? I met her gaze. Every step, her lips trembled. Why? Because I learned, I said. You taught me. Betrayal taught me. Pain taught me. And now those lessons are complete. Ryan slammed his palm against the table. This isn't over. It's over, I said softly. You're powerless. And the more you fight, the clearer it becomes to everyone watching, James interjected gently. They've already seen enough. The evidence is public. The allies you thought you had, they've sided with him now. Isabella's eyes glistened. I didn't think you'd go this far. I didn't either, I admitted, until I realized surviving betrayal isn't enough. You have to rise beyond it, master it, and turn it into strength. Ryan stared at me, jaw tight. So you're the boss now? No, I said. I'm the architect. Titles are temporary. Control is built on discipline, reputation, and truth. And that's what I've secured. The room fell into silence. My calm contrasted with their unraveling. Isabella finally whispered, so what happens to us? Nothing, I said. You fade. You become a cautionary tale. The power you tried to wield now serves as an example of what happens when greed and deceit overreach. Ryan's voice was hoarse. You're enjoying this? I'm not, I said truthfully. This isn't joy. It's closure. James leaned in slightly. It's done. The signatures are finalized. Good, I said. Then we can end this. I stood, letting my presence fill the space. You're free to leave. Whatever story you tell yourselves after this, it won't change the truth. You're irrelevant now. The room, the circle, the company, they're no longer yours to touch. Isabella rose slowly, tears threatening but unshed. You really have changed. Yes, I said. And you helped make me this way. Congratulations. She flinched at my tone and turned to leave. Ryan lingered, trying to salvage dignity. You'll regret this, he muttered. No, I replied. I'll remember it. There's a difference. They left. The door clicked shut. James exhaled. That was something. It was necessary, I said, returning to my seat. Betrayal thrives on silence. Exposure ends it. He smiled faintly. You're in control now. I've been in control for a while, I said quietly. Today just made it visible. The meeting ended, but my mind stayed sharp. The echoes of their defeat weren't triumph, they were validation. Proof of resilience forged through pain. Later that evening, I met Sophia, one of my earliest supporters, at a quiet cafe. She looked at me curiously. So it's done? Yes, I said. Completely. Her eyes softened. You look lighter. I feel prepared, I admitted. Not lighter, just resolved. You built this from the ashes, she said. You should be proud. I am, I said. But pride isn't the goal. Clarity is, she smiled. You've changed. I had to, I said. Otherwise, I'd still be in the shadows of what they did. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. The city lights flickered outside like stars fallen to earth. Sophia tilted her head. So what's next? I considered, then said, sustain what I've built. Lead without deception. Build alliances on trust, not fear. And never forget what it took to get here. She nodded approvingly. Sounds like mastery. It's self-mastery first, I said. Everything else follows. As I walked home later, I reflected on the day. Isabella's desperation, Ryan's arrogance, their unraveling, all of it was a mirror of my former self when I had no control. Now, control wasn't about crushing them. It was about never being vulnerable to them again. I whispered to myself, the throne isn't a seat. It's a state of mind. The streetlight cast a long shadow ahead of me, but for the first time I didn't feel like I was walking under it. I felt like I was walking out of it. I woke to the faint glow of morning brushing the city skyline, feeling a calm I hadn't known in years. It wasn't peace born of forgetting, it was clarity. The storm of betrayal, deceit, and manipulation had passed. I had survived, strategized, and ultimately mastered the chaos. Sophia was already in the kitchen brewing coffee. She looked up as I entered. "Morning," she said softly. "Morning," I replied, letting the simplicity of her presence sink in. "No schemes, no hidden motives, just presence, honesty, trust. You slept well?" she asked. "I did," I said, surprising even myself, for the first time in a long while. Her smile was small but genuine. "You've earned this." I poured my own cup, letting the warmth settle into my hands. "It feels less like earning and more like reclaiming." She tilted her head. "Reclaiming?" "All of it," I said. "Control, dignity, my life. Everything Isabella and Ryan tried to take from me, they failed. And it wasn't because I fought harder than them, it was because I learned. Learned what?" "That trust is a tool and awareness is the blade," I said, sipping slowly. I used my pain, my heartbreak, and their arrogance to anticipate, plan, and ultimately rise beyond them. She didn't reply immediately, letting me speak. "I won't lie," I continued. "There were days I questioned myself, nights I barely slept, moments I wondered if I'd ever be the same. But now I am." Sophia reached across the counter and rested her hand lightly over mine. "And you're happy?" I considered the word carefully. "Not happy exactly, I'm present, focused, free from their influence. That's more important." The phone buzzed on the table. I ignored it, sensing the name flashing on the screen. "Isabella." "Don't answer," Sophia said softly. "It won't change anything," I nodded. "It won't." I thought back to the confrontations, the public exposure, the votes, the strategic moves that had dismantled their power. Every lie, every manipulation, they all unraveled naturally. Karma had done its part, but I had ensured it landed precisely where it needed to. "Are you thinking about them?" Sophia asked. I shook my head. "No, they're irrelevant. Shadows of a past I've already mastered," she smiled, her warmth grounding me. "Then let's focus on the present." I looked around the apartment, light streaming in, the city awakening.
"You know," I said slowly, "I never thought I'd reach a point where someone like you could be in my life." Her eyes softened.
"Why not?" "Because I'd been burned by trust," I said. "Betrayal leaves scars that don't fade easily. But you've shown me that honesty and loyalty exist, that relationships can be real, not transactional," she chuckled. "Then I'm glad I proved your theories wrong." I smiled, feeling an unfamiliar lightness. "Glad you did." Later, I attended the first social event since my complete reclamation of control. The room was filled with colleagues, friends, and family. They saw me differently now, no longer the man who had stumbled, faltered, and been humiliated. They saw authority, poise, and mastery. James approached me, hand extended. "Congratulations," he said. "You've earned everything." "Thanks," I said. But it wasn't just me. Observation, planning, and patience mattered just as much. He nodded, understanding. "And the others?" "They're shadows," I said. "Learning lessons they'll never fully grasp." From across the room, I noticed Isabella and Ryan lingering, hoping for a crack in my armor, an emotional reaction. There was nothing to give. Their attempts at influence had failed entirely. I felt neither anger nor triumph, only detachment. Sophia leaned into me. "They're looking at you," she said quietly. I allowed myself a small smile. "Let them look." A colleague came forward. "We heard about your strategic moves. The way you handled everything, it was masterful," I replied calmly. "Mastery isn't about overpowering others. It's about understanding, anticipating, and controlling your own response." "Clearly you've learned that," they said, awe in their voice. I nodded, my gaze sweeping the room. This was my domain now, not through fear or intimidation, but through deliberate action, foresight, and integrity. Every connection, Every interaction was now navigated with intention. Sophia squeezed my hand. "You're different now," she whispered. "I am," I said. "And it feels right." Later, outside, the city lights shimmered across the pavement. The cold night air hit my face, crisp and real. I inhaled deeply, feeling a clarity I hadn't known in years. Every betrayal, every heartbreak, every calculated move had led me here. I was no longer a man shaped by others' deceit. I was a man commanding his destiny. "You're quiet," Sophia said, standing beside me. "I'm reflecting," I said. "On how far I've come, what I've learned, and the life I'm about to build." She smiled. "And it's with me?" "Yes," I said firmly. "It's with you. Because you represent everything Isabella and Ryan never could. Trust, honesty, loyalty. The kind of partnership that strengthens rather than undermines." Her hand found mine, and this time I didn't flinch. I had learned to trust, but only where trust was earned and reciprocated. "I'm ready for this," she said softly. "So am I," I replied. But not because I need revenge, not because I need validation. I'm ready because I've mastered myself. We walked back inside together. The lights, the warmth, the sense of belonging. It wasn't just physical comfort. It was the affirmation of intentional life. Every choice had been deliberate. Every relationship now navigated with foresight and care. That evening, I sent a brief message to a few close friends. Everything is resolved. Life moves forward. Responses came quickly. Congratulations, awe, support. No jealousy, no hidden motives. Only recognition of the journey and the mastery it had produced. I sat back, sipping a drink. Sophia rested her head lightly on my shoulder. "You've truly changed," she murmured. "Yes," I said. "I have. Not just in action, but in perspective. I no longer fear betrayal because I understand it, anticipate it, and rise above it." The phone buzzed again. "Isabella." I ignored it. Not out of anger, not out of spite. Simply because it no longer mattered. Her relevance had ended the moment I claimed control over my own life. Ryan's number appeared next. Same outcome. Irrelevant. Shadows of a past I had mastered. Reminders of what I had overcome. I looked at Sophia, feeling the weight of completion. "This," I said, voice quiet but certain, "is real. This life, this relationship, this mastery, it's mine by choice, not by chance." She kissed my cheek. "And I'm glad to be here, by choice too." I smiled, closing my eyes briefly. The journey from betrayal to empowerment had been long, harrowing, and precise. But now I understood. Mastery isn't just about winning battles or exposing deceit. It's about reclaiming yourself, your agency, and your destiny. The night stretched on. We talked, laughed softly, and planned for a future no one could sabotage. Every relationship, every connection, every decision now carried intention. Nothing was left to chance. As I looked out the window at the city lights, I whispered to myself, I am no longer defined by the past. I define my own path, my own destiny, my own life. Every choice, every moment is mine to command, and for the first time in years, I truly believed it.